I've always considered myself a logical man. Numbers made sense to me. I'm an insurance adjuster based in Boise, Idaho, a job built on hard facts, measurable risk, and paperwork. I don't dabble in the supernatural, nor do I believe in things without proof. At least I didn't until 6 months ago. It all started when I inherited my uncle's house. Uncle Don was a recluse. No one in the family really spoke to him for years. When he passed away from a stroke, the property fell to me, an old Victorian just outside the small town of Ashton, nestled near the Caribou-Targhee forest line. I didn't even know he still lived there. No one had been inside for over a decade, but the house had value, and I figured I'd sell it. I took a week off work, packed a duffel bag, and made the 5-hour drive on a grey November afternoon. The landscape changed as I got closer. Trees grew denser, clouds hung heavier, and cell signal began to flicker in and out. By the time I reached the long gravel driveway, the sun was dipping below the treetops. The house stood like a forgotten monument, wrapped in ivy, with shuttered windows and chipped paint that once might have been white. It looked like it had secrets, but I wasn't afraid, just annoyed. More work than I'd hoped. The inside smelled like thyme, dust, mothballs, and something faintly sweet, like spoiled flowers. I found the breaker box, flipped on the power, and surprisingly, the lights came alive with a faint hum. The first night was uneventful, though the creaking of the old wood frame kept me from sleeping deeply. In the morning, I explored room by room, careful not to fall through any soft floorboards. The house was surprisingly intact. Old books, furniture draped in sheets, faded paintings on the walls. It was like Uncle Don had just vanished, leaving everything behind, except for the third-floor hallway. There, at the end, was a narrow wooden door. It was unlike the others, much newer. It didn't match the vintage architecture of the house. Its frame was slightly off angle, as if it had been forced into place. The doorknob was shiny brass. No dust. I tried the handle. Locked. I didn't think much of it at first, probably storage. Maybe he added it later. That night, around 2 a.m., I woke up to a loud thud, then another. It sounded like something heavy falling from above. My heart pounded. I grabbed the flashlight and headed up the stairs. Everything was quiet, but the door at the end of the third-floor hallway was open. I know it was locked earlier. I remember it clearly, because I tried twice. Cautiously, I stepped closer. My flashlight flickered as I approached. I hate when they do that. The air near the door was colder than the rest of the house. Inside, there was nothing, literally nothing. It was a doorway that led to absolute darkness. No walls, no floor, no ceiling, just black. It was like looking into a void. My brain couldn't process it. I shone the light inside, but the beam didn't reflect off anything. It just disappeared. I leaned closer and whispered, "Hello?" Something whispered back. It wasn't a clear whisper, not in English, not in any language I knew. It was like a breath of sound, a syllable being formed deep inside a throat. Guttural, wet. I froze. The hair on the back of my neck stood up. I've heard coyotes, old pipes, even raccoons in attics. This was none of those things. It wasn't in the room, it was coming out of the darkness. I slammed the door shut. There was no keyhole, no lock, just a knob and a latch. I pushed a nearby bookshelf in front of it, went back down to the living room, and didn't sleep a minute that night. The next morning, I told myself I imagined it. Maybe I was tired, jet-lagged. The human brain plays tricks when it's deprived of rest. But my flashlight was dead, and I distinctly remember putting in fresh batteries the night before. I went back upstairs to confirm what I'd seen. The door was shut. The bookshelf was still in front of it, unmoved. But the air around it was wrong, stale, moist, like the inside of a root cellar. I checked the floorboard nearby. It was covered in dust except for a perfect trail of footprints, barefoot, child-sized. They stopped just short of the bookshelf. I nearly fell backward. I left the house and sat in my car for an hour, just breathing. I called my wife and told her everything was fine. I didn't want to scare her. But I kept the engine running the rest of the day and only went back inside when it started to rain. That night, things got worse. At 3:17 a.m., I heard a knock. Not on the front door, not on the windows, on the third-floor hallway wall. It wasn't timid or weak, it was 3 solid knocks. Knock, 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 repeating every few seconds like clockwork. I didn't move. I didn't breathe. Then the whispers came again. This time closer. It felt like they were inside the walls, echoing through the pipes. Some were low and whispery, others shrill and fast like voices trapped in a wind tunnel. My heart raced as I grabbed my phone to call someone, anyone, but I had no signal, not a single bar. That's when I noticed the light coming from under the third-floor door. It was faint, pulsing, yellowish, like the flicker of a candle in a deep tunnel. I grabbed my car keys and left. I didn't care that it was raining. I drove 25 miles to the nearest motel and checked in without even brushing my teeth. The front desk clerk didn't ask a thing. Maybe I looked crazy. I felt crazy. I didn't return to the house for 2 days. When I finally worked up the nerve to go back, it was a clear morning. Bright sun, blue sky, nothing like the stormy evening I left it behind. The house looked harmless again, like something off a postcard. But I knew better now. I didn't go straight inside. I circled the exterior first, checking for anything unusual. Scratches, footprints, broken windows, nothing. It was as if nothing had happened. Inside, the air smelled stale again. I grabbed a crowbar from the garage and went straight to the third floor. The door was open. The bookshelf ID pushed in front of it was still standing, but the door behind it hung ajar. I stood still, heart hammering. There was something new now. A sound, low and rhythmic, almost like breathing, except it was coming from the darkness beyond the doorway, not labored, not human, just present. This time, I couldn't stop myself. I took a step forward. My flashlight was ready. I clicked it on. The beam vanished into the void like last time. No reflection, no bounce, just blackness that swallowed everything. I picked up an old coin from my pocket and tossed it in. No sound. I waited. 10 seconds, 20, still nothing. Then something reached out. Not a hand, not an arm, something else. It didn't make sense. It was more like a distortion in the air, a shimmer, like heat waves rising from asphalt, but cold, biting cold. I stepped back and slammed the door shut again, pushing the shelf against it so hard the wood cracked. That night, I didn't go to a motel. I drank half a bottle of bourbon and sat on the porch with a baseball bat in my lap. I must have fallen asleep because I woke to the sound of the door slamming shut on its own. Except I wasn't inside. I was still outside, and the slamming had come from inside the house. I grabbed my phone, still no signal. It was like something wanted me cut off. I took one photo of the third-floor hallway from the stairs before leaving. I needed proof I wasn't losing my mind. When I checked the photo later, I dropped the phone. The picture showed the hallway, yes, but the door was gone. It wasn't there. Just blank wall, no seams, no frame, nothing. I checked the phone again, zoomed in, turned up the contrast. Still nothing. But I knew what I saw. I knew it existed. I touched it. I heard it breathe. Something in that house was hiding in plain sight, and I wasn't going to let it win. I left the house for good the next day, but something followed me. For weeks, I kept seeing things out of the corner of my eye, movement where there shouldn't be, shadows that stretched too long. At first, I chalked it up to stress, maybe trauma. But then I started hearing the knocking. 3 knocks, slow, rhythmic, always between 3 and 4 a.m. Even worse, every now and then, when I walked past a mirror or a dark window, I'd glimpse the faintest outline of a door behind me, that door. Even though I'd burned the photo, deleted the files, thrown away anything from that house, and the dreams, those are the worst. In the dreams, I'm back in the hallway and the door is always open. I'm pulled toward it like gravity itself is bent. I can hear the whispers, louder now, hundreds of voices layered over each other, some crying, some laughing, some screaming. Sometimes I see shapes moving in the darkness. Sometimes they see me. I wake up drenched in sweat, heart racing, the sound of breath still in my ears. Eventually, I broke down and went to see a local historian. I didn't tell him everything, just said I inherited an old Victorian in Ashton and asked if there were any stories about it. He paused, leaned back and said, "You mean the Donnellan house?" I nodded. He hesitated, then said something I still can't get out of my head. "There's no record of a third floor." I stared at him. "What do you mean?" He pulled up blueprints on a dusty old microfilm reel. "It's a two-story structure. Always has been. Original layout. No stairs past the second floor." I showed him a sketch I made from memory. Staircase to the third floor, hallway, the door. He frowned. "You sure you were in the right house?" I didn't reply, because I was sure, too sure. I went home and tried to forget, tried to move on. And for a while, it seemed to work. I slept through the night. I stopped seeing shadows until 3 nights ago. I was walking to the kitchen for a glass of water around 3:15 a.m. That's when I saw it again. In my hallway, my modern one-story suburban hallway, there was the door. Same angle, same shiny brass knob. But it didn't belong there. It cut through the drywall like it had been grafted into the fabric of my home. It pulsed faintly, yellow light leaking from the seams, and I swear to God, I heard my name being whispered from the other side. I haven't opened it. I won't. I'm afraid that if I do, I won't come back. But I also know something's changed. That door, it's not part of the house anymore. It's part of me, and I think it always will be.